Jason, I'm back, and I'll be working more on the 0.7 update. And what I'll be looking at tonight is basically going through and taking the mod where it currently is. I'm now on GitHub, and so that has really helped with the process of keeping everything clean, also going block by block and making sure that I'm doing code review, and also making sure that I'm going feature by feature. So currently what I'm working on is kind of capping off 0.6, the bug fix list that I had, and then also trying to increase the AI for the humans, and then also increase the encounters and make those actually more realistic. So I'm currently working on the encounters, and I'll kind of narrate as I'm going through and explain what I'm looking at and why. So where I left off earlier, I'm actually going to go ahead and get back on the Discord channel as well so I can continue to answer questions as they come in. So let me go ahead and get that set up as well. Okay, there we go. And basically we're just going to go ahead and I'm going to keep going through. So essentially right now what I'm looking at is how the encounter code, so I did some work earlier on where I was looking at the encounters, and I made some quick changes back before, and one of the big things was that it ended up affecting a lot of the different factors around the world. Like it ended up, people were getting way too many glitches for me to feel comfortable with everything that was done, so I dialed those back. And now I'm going back through and slowly increasing these to make this more realistic. So I'm also trying to pair a lot of that with the configuration mod that I'm working on. So I currently have that going as well. That's currently still slowly crawling forward, but right now I wanted to focus on looking again at the human AI tonight and seeing if we can make at least those encounters a little bit more interesting and not so sparse. So currently one of the issues is that we have about, I think the standard is 3 enemies spawning as far as like bandits, PK, that kind of thing. What I'm going to try to go through and look at is trying to change these to where they're basically more flushed out, to where we're balancing that out with a group of bandits, one being like an armored and some potentially some long ranged, and to help explain why they're actually able to clear areas and why they are able to survive. Because currently with the balance for I Am Legion, they're basically just getting overwhelmed. It's just kind of a matter of when do they get overwhelmed, and so I'm trying to bring this back a little bit to where it's a little bit more realistic, but also well balanced for the player. So with that, I'm going to start going through and make sure to leave any questions or if you have any ongoing discussion points that you would like answered. I am watching the Twitch feed, and I am also watching the Discord so that I can try to answer everybody's questions as I'm going. So make sure to just let me know if you have any questions, and I look forward to talking here in a little bit. So currently we have, so on the left here we have the extracted. I'm actually going to go to my old format that people may have been used to seeing before, which is basically we just get these situated. So the extracted files are at the top, and the modified are at the bottom. So first let's look at the area settings that are extracted, compare with what I currently have in the mod, and go from there. So there's currently 2 main files that I'll be looking at. So essentially it's looking at how we can set up those encounters and making those encounters more interesting. So a lot of that is done both in the area settings and then also in the encounters files. And so we're going to see if we can dial up both. But basically, currently we've got these encounter weights, which I thought was really interesting. So I was noticing these before, where all of these are labeled as hacks. And if you see here that their weights are essentially set to 1, which basically means that they will always spawn. They also have this difficulty rating, which I'm assuming means that based on your difficulty and then also based on that variable, this will always happen. Which is a little interesting that with most of their weight systems, these are scaled down a little bit more to where these are more like float values to where there's some chance that they won't happen. But currently they're basically saying for all of these, and then we have a couple of ones that say 100 instead of 1, which is interesting. And then we also have, well, it looks like those are lined out. So the ones that do say 100 up here have been turned off. So I'm sure those are just left over. And then we've got some playtests down here that I don't believe the playtests really come into it anymore. Okay, so the area settings look pretty straightforward. The one thing that I'm going to look for here is I'm going to go through and spawn them out. So currently you can see where I've upped the amount of bandits that are being spawned based on the earlier configurations, though. I'm not really sure that this is actually working anymore, so I'll be doing some additional testing tonight to actually confirm that these presets are actually working. Let's go and look up this actual plan bandit and find out. So we've got the population file, that's what I'm currently in. We've got this plans folder, which I've not currently messed with, so let's go take a look at these and see what we've got. So we've got this plans for like PK. So these are a couple of test maps, a rooftop. So this is probably where as you're running around, you occasionally run up on the on these different PK guys just chilling up on the roof. And you can see here that there's a height difference, so it has to have that. It's also got these scenario tags, which is interesting. It's got, so this is very similar to the original Dying Light 1 code, where they were the common files, and it was very standard for the So one of the other things people reported, so that's interesting. So I worked on some of the noise triggering events and tried to get that set up to where people were a little bit more responsive. Apparently one, which is that if there's dead bodies, it's causing people to flock to that location. That's actually a pretty fun one. I can actually go here to the noise data and show you guys this. So also let's go to fork and make sure So I've got the encounter settings. Basically, let's go ahead and just move this over, and we'll say initial. And actually, while we're at it, we'll wait on the plans, but essentially we will go ahead and just say initial commit. We'll go ahead and push that out. Basically, that's just bringing that file into the mod. Go ahead and push that out. And then for the human noise alerts, we'll go back to this one. And if we go to the death, yeah. So basically, this is because of the values that were in here. This is because basically these values, I thought were basically I thought these were like how much are they attracted to this. This is actually where it's forcing them. So there's a range built into this, and it actually says it up near the top, so that if you do this one, so you can modify these. 0.5 puts them on low alert, medium alert is 5, and then 0.9 or higher puts them on high alert, which there's some other files elsewhere that basically say, like, you know, if they're on high alert, do these actions. So my guess is, and I'm going to have to test this out, is that I'm basically telling humans that if a human dies, like, freak all the way out. And so essentially what we're going to go in here and do is we're going to tell them to take notice of a human death. That should get them more interested. It will then also make the biters pretty intense. They'll start going up to medium level attraction, which I like. If there is an infected that's killed, currently we've got that on human is nothing. Let's just go ahead and, well, if we kill a zombie, then we want the enemy humans to basically take it, you know, pay attention. I think what I can do is instead of this attract, this needs to be notice. So that way, instead of attracting, they just notice it. With the biters, this will actually now pull them in, but these two values should basically mean, like, if we're having someone, if someone is killed, pay attention to the fact that they're killed. So we could probably actually put them on like 0.6 notice, but don't like attract, so don't go to that location. And then let's see, so that should be the only two. And then basically what we can do here is let's see what the other things are that humans are getting forced to, and let's just confirm. So if a screamer screams, humans run away. There's a noise trap, they run. Summoning horn, they run to help. It's 100% though. I think I could probably go. I actually had this. This actually worked pretty well the other day. I need to balance out this like idea of help to find out more about help and how help is actually supposed to work. So, this reaction, help behavior. So they notice. Yeah. So basically, I think instead of having them come in and help, I think this is actually more for, this would actually apply more to those survivors. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to say attract, and let's bring this back down so that it's not as high, but basically we'll then say like bring in the biters, bring in the humans, and then so let's find out what other ones. So call for help calls humans, so those are the survivors, so that should be good. And then Bandit Alarm, they 100% notice. But one of the things that's interesting about this is I think that this one was actually lined out. Or was it, I can't remember if it was lined out, but they had this note that says change to repel when it's implemented. But they don't really say like what they're trying to implement, so I'm not really sure what is getting implemented here for this to work properly, but potentially the bandit camp noise is not actually working. So that should fix the noise data. We'll go ahead and push out these changes. So we'll save. Possible fix for humans, PK running to dead human. Okay, so we'll push that. We will then, I don't actually want to merge that in yet because I need to test, but what I will do is I'll go over to here, back over to my better human encounters, and I'll actually pull in I'll pull in those changes. So we'll push. So that should fix that. I'll also go ahead and pull in, no, I'm going to leave configurations alone. But essentially the idea here is that now I should have the audio fixes that I just did for those PK diving in. Hey Kiwi, welcome back. Yeah, what you running into? I'll just, I'll keep working, but I'll pay attention to the window there, so just let me know what you're running into. So, scenario tags is an interesting one because I've seen this before, but I think it's interesting that they have this concept of scenario tags because, like I was mentioning earlier, that's very similar to this concept of the first game of Dying Light 1, where Kiwi, I hear you. Can you hear me okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to go in here. So they have this idea of scenarios, which I do like that they keep most of this stuff now local. So they've got this idea of scenarios, and then basically each one of these, looks like a lot of these are actually for testing. So it imports scenario definitions. It also imports the population definitions, which that's interesting. Yeah, if you can hear me now, Kiwi, basically, what's the issue? You mentioned helping you install, like what are you running into? So the definitions are basically covering all the different things that these can affect. We have scenario definitions as well. This idea that they're using these animations during this scenario, which is very interesting. Because potentially, if we want to look up in the future, what are they running into or what's the problem, then we can essentially just search for that one, for that scenario, and that should actually just show us all the characters that are using that scenario and how they're being spawned in. So it looks like most of these, a lot of these are not for the infected. Church hub new, hub walker. Yeah, not a problem. Just head over to the Nexus. I'm assuming you're on the Nexus right now. Just head over to the I Am Legion mod, which if you head over to okay, so if you want zombies, if you want the main zombies, which are going to be the main spawning zombies that are all over the map, if you want those to run after you, climb up buildings, then use the Ultimate Survivor. If you want the zombies that are like spawned all over the map, the most common ones, to not run after you, to just kind of shuffle around and do the normal zombie things, not chase you kind of thing, then use casual. That's currently the split that I have, is basically either you want runners or you don't want runners, you want walkers. But the rest of the perks of the mod are mixed into both. So the physics and all the other intensity and difficulties are all present in both. It's just the difference between what do you mean by OG zombies? I'm just going to wait for you to get back to me on the OG part. But yeah, it sounds like it grabbing me. Yeah, so that's going to be casual. So now we have the idea of encounter plans. And they've got a despawn radius on these. Set to max. It's interesting. All of them are set to max. Very interesting. So here we have basically the difference of how they're using these guys at the start of the game versus how they're using them at the end of the game. If you go to your install directory, it's easy enough if you just head over to Steam, and you can just right-click your Steam and then go to Manage and then Browse Local Files. Once that opens up, you've got the PH folder, source, and then you just drop that data 3 that was included right here in your source file. And that's it. And then you just launch. So let's see. They're breaking down, they're looting. Scavenger's roof. So by the end of the game, there's no more scavengers on the roof. It's interesting. Fixing, resting bench, collecting, test scenario. Yeah, exactly. You just drag and drop. If you don't like the mod, feel free to just delete that data 3 PK or pack, and you'll be done. You'll be back to the base game. It won't mess with your vanilla save game or anything like that. So if a new version comes out, all you have to do is replace that file. So that's scavengers, plain survivors, skip beginning, and spawn distance again. So this, interesting. Um, yeah. So head over to the on my Discord. Head over to the very top. There is the I Am Legion 1-2 release thread, and in there I've got some additional mods that I'm supporting. So the ones that I've confirmed that it shouldn't break anything. So feel free to use any one of those to install them. You pretty much just drag and drop them exactly like you just did with that mod. So I was talking to one of the people on the Discord earlier. They were basically saying that they have this other mod that they're using. They're currently dealing with an issue where they're getting zombies are showing up as regular people are showing up as zombies. So I asked them to send over their file basically just so I could confirm that none of these are being used, and none of them are. So that should be completely compatible. Yeah, for the physics one, that guy was on the Discord very early on. Basically, he reworked some of the physics as it pertains to like the player movement and a lot of the other systems. The physics are back mod that I created is already included, so you should have better physics on a lot of that automatically. You can continue to get some additional support on this physics by installing a couple of the other physics mods. Not all of them are compatible, but the one that I've listed is completely compatible. So let's see. So basically, we've got a couple of different conditions at which these guys spawn. If we go here and search for their plan, I think basically it's not going to be, we're not going to find them. No, okay. So they're spawning based on their plans, not based on their agendas or their scenario tags. My guess is that they will then spawn into the world using first this for the AI life is first saying spawn, and then my guess is that it's checking the available scenario tags. Yeah, Kiwi, I answered this a little bit earlier on. If you go on my feed when we were on here earlier, I did answer that pretty long. But I would also encourage watching any of my videos that are on YouTube. If you head over to the main page of my mod and just watch some of those videos, a couple of those I'm doing like 30-minute comparing between mods, comparing between the original and then the more ultimate version and then casual and all that stuff. I mean, you're probably looking at like an hour or more, probably 2 or 3 hours at this point, worth of that stuff on there. But if you head over to that main mod, I Am Legion on the Nexus, and then click those videos that are on the main page, and then just go to those videos on YouTube. Everything's right there on the side. So I've even got like a channel that's for I Am Legion, so you can find all my I Am Legion movies on there. And I've got full gameplay breakdowns where I'm showing everything, and I think that will probably answer it the best. Let's see. So here's the Watchtower. Which is interesting that the Watchtower, so they have these Watchtowers and they're only spawning from 8 to 9 or 8 to 7 o'clock, which makes no sense. They would definitely be doing this at night. So we'll go ahead and... So again, the idea here is that we're going to start looking at realism for this mod with the human AI. So here's a perfect example of where that makes absolutely no sense. I'm not sure if that was breaking something or what they were encountering to where they made that the case, but we should be able to go in here and say all the way up till... So there's a shift rotation there at midnight. So far, I'm a sledgehammer kind of guy, definitely in the game. And a lot of the work that I've been doing on the physics is based around the two-handed weapons. I'll be doing more upcoming for like the things like the bow and arrow and crossbow and all that good stuff. So like the PK they're being spawned in during day and night because of my AI live population. So they're already set up properly for that. Skip beginning probability. Interesting. And then so they're actually not being controlled at this point from here. They're being controlled by AI population, which is really interesting that they're not setting all of these systems. Nice. Sorry, I'm occasionally glancing over at your text there, Kiwi. It's interesting that, for example, they're setting part of their code for the time of day condition. They're setting part of their code here, but then the other parts of their code they're setting from the population, which is another example of where, like, if you're going to write a system, you know, it's interesting that they're writing a system that isn't always consistent. So basically they have all these different guards and stuff like that that are spawning, and interesting enough for the hubs, they're basically just saying spawn always, and they can be any minimum distance from there, which is just really interesting that basically the hub people get a free pass for they spawn at all times versus these other guys are basically being restricted compared to the others. So let's see, bandits. Bandits are pretty low on the search range, I would say. Spawn distance from active agendas. So that's one that we can go in here and say, like, okay, spawn more bandits. That's an easy one. So basically, let's cut down on the distance that needs to happen for them to spawn. I'm guessing some of this relates to being able to do quests and not wanting bandits to get too close to certain quests. So this one is one of the examples of where we'll need to play around with some of these values to make sure that it's not actually breaking anything. But essentially, we want there to be more of these guys. There's really no reason why there can't be at this point. I guess the takeaway is if you don't want to fight them, don't fight them, kind of thing. So with the encounters, camp encounters, hub. We already looked at hub, we already looked at PK, we already taken care of that. Scavengers. Scavengers are also not being set time of day here. Survivors, which is different from the hub survivors, also not being spawned. But there is a time of day condition for the survivors on the roof where they're like fixing stuff, examining things. I think that this is pretty generous considering if they're out there any longer, they'll die. So like they're heading in literally at the time that the world goes to shit. So I'm gonna go ahead and give them a little bit of a buffer so you guys won't be seeing these guys really early in the morning, and you won't be seeing them later or late at night. Doesn't really make a lot of sense considering if they really are going to die pretty quickly. Let's try to make them at least head inside to explain why they're still alive. And then the truck task, I'm guessing, is where those guys are literally fixing trucks randomly around the map. I saw this one earlier. So there's the plans. So we've updated the plans. Let's go in here and look at the factions. Basically, we have these 3 different factions. They have some behavior modifications based on specific interesting. So they have a behavior of someone taking a piss from the renegades and the survivors and the bandits that they've basically zeroed out. So I wonder if they like sent this through Q&A and someone was like, don't make it to where these guys can pee. So this is kind of a dumb one, but I'm going to turn back on, I mean, this is going straight into the notes for on the front page for I Am Legion. I mean, I will let everybody know that their guards will be taking a piss again. So from 1 to 9, they are able to take a piss. And let's just see what happens. Okay. Add that to the list. Let's see, roof gardening. You know, but with a lot of these, I'm noticing that a lot of these are the a lot of them don't have acceptable zones. And then they also have like time here that doesn't make a lot of sense. Smoking, night watch. They have this idea of night watch members not doing things. So maybe they've got like whole night watch code in here. Huh. So there's an example of where they actually have, so they have 12 zones? Ah, there we go. So these are basically the behavior list here of what they're allowed to do. And the interesting part is I don't know what actually made the cut. Because I'm not really sure why this one's allowed in 0 through 1, why this one's allowed in 2 through 4. Play piano. Sitting, relax, crouch, squats, push-ups. Drinking, washing, and bath. Excellent. Eating corpse, belly pose. So let's see where they're executing some of this. So they've got like this code sitting out here that's saying like, okay, go do these things, but like, where? You're talking about one update on the actual game? So currently it's at 1.06c. Or are you saying like how do I go back on that? And then really quick, I've got some ideas of, or I've got some updates to the actual encounter prefabs, but it looks like I've not actually modified a couple of the different ones here. So if we say like prefabs, I have yet to get these actually working for the most part, so I've kind of left them alone for a while. But I'm curious, Renegades versus... Oh, just updated. So is there like a new update that I don't see? Is it still 1.6c, or did you're saying that it's even higher than that now? It's on the main menu, so if you go and launch the main menu, but 1.6c has been out for a while, so I would imagine if you head over to the mod page, he'll mention if it's not updated. I'm pretty sure he's on the front page, so I mean, I'm pretty sure he's keeping his mod updated with the versions. I don't think he is. He's stopped doing any of that. So basically, we've got these different encounters. We've got the prefabs that's spawning the prefabs. Yeah. So I would just head over to the his mod page and confirm that that's set up correctly. It may have been something got lost when you installed something else or something, but I'm pretty sure that one's updated. So we go here. Didn't find this anywhere else, which is really interesting. So what I'm trying to do right now is basically this was found in the AI population. That's not actually the one that I want. So I want the present pool. So they have this encounter Renegades versus PKs. They are spawning it in the encounter spawn box settings, but it's a prefab variant. So then they've got this idea of a different encounter, and they've got all that set up, but where's the pull is, I guess, the question, because I've got the actual prefab open here, and it has this. Maybe it's the so hang on, handy dandy. When in doubt, search it out. So if we just go, that's why. So then it has this initiation prefab. You're gonna downgrade the game, or you're gonna downgrade the mod? Let's see. So then it has this PKs versus Renegades, which I'm guessing if I go over to either here or here, there we go. So it's going through and calling these. I think the AI present pools is just all said and done. I think this is where we're going to get more of these guys loaded in. And so I need to go. Oh yeah, so I don't know how to tell you to do that either. So that's going to be like a Steam thing. It's going to be like a compatibility thing. Like I said, I would go over to the actual developer mod for the actual developer menu and re-download that, because there's no way that that's not compatible with 1.6c. I would also make sure that, so you know how you installed my mod, the data3.pack, I would make sure that his is not also using a data3.pack. If his is using a data3.pack, you can just rename either or. So essentially, you just need to change the name to... Okay, so he's got data too. So I would make sure that the actual engine, it looks like he's writing a couple of, his is 4. You sure about that? Okay. And I would make sure that you have these DLLs installed. But yeah, I would guarantee that more than likely that should work. Awesome. Hey, we have one of the modders that was on here a long time ago. It sounds like he is finally posting his work, which is great. This is Lady... Oh, okay. Yeah. So there's a couple of things with the physics that need to continue to update. So, and change, wait. Gotcha. I think the next part of this is I'm going to be going through here and essentially updating the list of pulled characters. So essentially, we're going to go through, I'm going to make sure that we have all of the locations that this stuff should be located. Let's see if we can find some of, like, a list of ones, maybe ones that are even not known. And then, ooh, this is promising. Let's head over to the AI behavior tree, behavior places, combat idle sitting, combat idle standing. And let's pop this one open. interesting. That's really interesting. Okay, so this shows up in most of these locations, allowing it to work there. We have prefab for patrolling. We have, let's get past the prefabs really quickly and get to the, so here's an agenda. Under the logic that I want to go look up. So if we go in here, so these NPCs, so if we go to infected, coon dance, huh? Dance and sing. Oh, I gotta look this up. So you're saying if you kill an enemy human, will he still fly at Narnia, or will he die more realistically? You better die more realistically. I think you probably need to let me know. Interesting. Oh man. Okay, so definitely onto something here. So if we go to AI Life, they've got some test files here. Oh, I was saying, you tell me. Go and test those things, and you let me know, because they should be better. They should be a lot better, but you'll need to test that out yourself. Cage. Okay. So if we go to our behavior places, and this is going to be AI. Say volatile. That's it. It's all of the volatile files in that entire thing. That's interesting. Okay. Thought we were onto something there, but it looks like we'll have to keep looking. So for the combat, basically, if we wanted to say jump out low, condition requires them being a viral, and it's the truck. Huh. This is for Peacekeepers, Bandits. Saying should react on damage or kill if out of nav mesh. So they've got this idea of like discard conditions where they're essentially looking, I think based on what I'm saying there, is the idea is they want them to behave a certain way until they don't. And if they don't, then kill them. So we're like, these guys fighting. Tracking mode disabled. I think that's the part that's so interesting, is like, what is this tracking mode? And then also it looks like these are like their can deactivate during activation, can deactivate during transition. Well, let's take a look here and see who all's doing this. So basically this could show if I'm transitioning between day and night, who is essentially getting disabled. So basically, so far, the humans are getting disabled. So I guess the question is, if I want to find out what tracking mode does, what if we go in here and say enabled? Nothing. So nothing's using tracking mode, or they essentially don't call the condition tracking mode disabled, which would make probably more sense. Then they have these distance characters. And then they actually have, I think, the actual smoking weed. Oh, there we go. Crafting flute, sitting wounded. Canteen to delete. Got a bunch of things in here that I guess they got rid of. Wonder if they actually still have kissing in here. Hey, Aloe, how's it going? Okay, so I'm gonna move away from these again, just to get back to the human AI. But that is very interesting, and basically where all that led from was this idea of how are they getting their player pools, essentially is where all that started from. So how are they determining this idea of, let me close these, the actual visual representation of who this is. So if we go in here and we say, like, let's say Renegade Bow this time. So we go in here and say Renegade Bow. Find that. So they got all the profiles of all the AI and pre-cached based on what I'm seeing there. And then They've got locomotion scripts. That's interesting. Okay. So they've got pre-cached data. What is using this? Not to immediately get pulled off of this scent already, but what is using pre-cached data? So I think what's happening here is this pre-cached data, I think before, was how the AI was receiving some of its code. Stove digger requirement. Interesting. Sequence bank. I swear, every time I look at stuff in here, I just find so many different things. Huh. So I think if I wanted to do things a little different, yeah, you're welcome for that, Kiwi. People have been asking for some updates to the dodging for special infected. Let's see. So, if I wanted to change the runners to where the runners were, right now they're using the animation file, the locomotion file, it's changing it over. The problem with this is essentially you have this initiation tree. Assuming that this file still works, you could go in and basically reroute them to the viral code from the base here. But the problem with that is that we don't actually want them to become virals. I only want their animations to be updated. So I think this is going to lead down even more paths. It's just going to get me even more distracted. So hang on, let's go back to our, looks like, there we go. That is actually what I wanted. So if we go in and we go to extract extracted logic or extracted presets, logic, human AI internal pre, human AI, down here at the bottom. Okay. Oh, this says depreciated presets at the top. So that must be what they became. So originally they had these presets, and that's why they're referenced throughout the code. There's some places where the code is not actually working anymore, where you see this idea of biter region 1, biter region 3, etc., etc. So this is the swap. It's going through and giving an alias. So it's saying if it detects this, load this instead. Another interesting thing. So like I wonder why, like if you had so many different tiers, I mean here you have 7 variations of bandits that are now turned into renegade one-handed. And even more so, because if you just look at the amount of things that are getting turned into renegade one-handed, it's a lot of guys. So you essentially have a very narrow selection of guys at this point, but I'll have to look later at the actual, like, can we get smarter selection for our like visuals and stuff like that. I'll give that a little bit, and basically what I'll do here is, this is going to take a long time, but essentially the idea is want to go through and basically set this up to where our list of available AI is kind of determined by this. So we currently have our zombies down here at the bottom, which are all still zombies. We will then say humans, and let's start putting a couple of these in. Basically the scenario general part can stay out of it, but for now let's just go ahead and say, let's just start building the list out. So we've got these guys, and it doesn't hurt to keep the tags in there, I guess, so that way we can make sure that if we're going to spawn one of these guys, we know what tags they show up under. So we have our tags, and then we have our friendly AI, hangman and a hostage. So let's go in here and say friendly humans, and we'll just keep this with us. So these are our friendly humans. These are our different enemies, which I think are essentially the same thing we have over here. So one-handed, two-handed bow, summoner, spear, two-handed grenader, military gang lieutenant, one hand. So these are the different pulls by the military gang. Oh, I see. Okay, vertical gang, military gang. Right. Okay, flooded gang. What's interesting is that if these guys are in different gangs, they have these different lieutenants and bosses, but like every one of these guys shows up the same. Bloods gang, Bandits easy. Even the bandits are renegades. Okay. Molotov, Bandits easy. So then in here is this idea of the Duke, which I absolutely hate that name. But so they have the early bandits that explains the Duke part, so I'll go ahead and save that over here as well, just so we know what the heck they're talking about later. In here, I've already gone through and set up the AI present pools. Basically what we'll do is we'll go down underneath the code that I changed. How do we know what code I've already changed? Let's go over to the AI present presets from and then we'll do a compare. So let's compare the original versus the new. New is on the right, and you can pretty much see where I start to leave off. So we're in the downtown pool. Are all tests. Affected population. It's interesting though that I missed these infected populations. Exteriors. Okay. So let's go in here and say, basically the idea here is that we want to go through and make this a little bit more intense. So we have the day exteriors, rooftops. Basically want to increase that pool present or preset to make these a little bit more likely to happen. So let's go in here and lower some of these things. So berserkers are going to be higher, but not a lot. Biters, woman. There we go. So during the day, you're more likely to get. Yeah, that's a banshee during the day. Kiwi, I'm glad you noticed. Gotta make them useful for something. If not in the day, when? Spite. Let's say night exterior. Go through and flush that out. And then another thing is we also have this idea of these other infected types that are the Peacekeepers and the Scavengers. I definitely personally want these guys flushing out into the world as well, because technically who are they killing? They're killing these other guys. And so even with the concept of the rooftops, that is actually where you wouldn't have armored, but you would have scavengers. So potentially infected scavengers are up on the roofs where they died. And so let's keep this copied. To exterior actions area. We also have the possibility of infected survivors up on the roof as well, and on the ground. Actually go up really quick and add, so for the daytime interiors, drop these down to 25 as well. This is night, this is day. I'm not sure why a volatile is in this list. I thought I cleaned these up. I'm actually getting kind of confused about this one, considering I just went through and cleaned up a lot of this. Oh no, is this... Oh, come on. Well, that would be why is I haven't been working in here, have I? Yes, I have. Okay, so then AI life, and that's it. Go over to Git, because this is not the right file. AI life. Skip. Let's go in here to Git, make sure it sees these changes. Right. And then let's go in here and grab our scripts. Let's get rid of this one. And then go in here and say let's go over here to all to the right. So now we should have our, no, we should have our area settings. Let's close everything to the right. Make sure we're doing this correctly. We want to compare our Git version with our extracted version. That could have been a very long evening. Okay. So this version should have our updated values. And as you can see here, that is a lot more changes. It's still missing some though, which is interesting. So we have the renegades. We want to go up and make sure. So let's go through and say this is for the tax special night. Let's go back up and make sure that we don't have let's also drop this back down as well. There was a volatile, if we go up here and search volatile, day interior, correct. Night exterior, night exterior. Dark zone. Oh, I think it's actually because it was supposed to be in the dark zone. Yeah. Okay. I still don't have entirely enough faith here. Say night exterior, night exterior. About these populations day. Region, day, night. Okay. I think that's pretty much it. So then we go and we're going to say we want to add I think we might actually be able to go in here and just say wherever, if we do a find and replace, so say replace, paste all of that in. Anywhere where there's a Peacekeeper, no, because And basically I'm just going through and making it more likely that we will see infected survivors in the city, just because there really should be a very high percentage that you should spot these different types of characters. So just trying to expand some of these different pools here. And actually, I'm going to go ahead and, being short on time here, let's go ahead and just continue on to the actual Peacekeepers. So basically, the goal here is that we have this idea of available options. Yeah. That's how you know that they're infected versus biters. See, day interior, downtown street. So they've got a weight on here where basically it's interesting that they've turned women off outside. So they've gone through and they've said no women outside the gates for whatever reason. So I'm going to turn women back on. So let's turn women back on. And then basically let's go here and find and they actually got rid of the like survivor woman, or is that scavenger woman? Is there such thing as a survivor woman? Yeah, interesting. So let's go through to the groups here. And basically these are where we're starting with the actual list of guys as they spawn on the map. So this is going to be pretty easy actually. So essentially what we're going to do here is we're going to start upping the amount of people spawned. So let's go in here and say for each one of these Peacekeepers, the reason that they have as many people defending them is because they got a lot of them. I've always thought it was kind of dumb that they only had a couple. If there is this idea of Peacekeeper range, let me see here. We have one-handed soldiers. Soldier hostile. Soldiers deserted. They've got these spearmen. So let's add some spearmen to help keep back the enemies. So they've got 2 one-handed, and then they've got 2 spearmen. So the spearmen help keep things at a distance. Spear. And the heavies go out and clear the streets. And the soldiers defend the commander. And we're going to go through and basically this is our new baseline. So if we have more than that, basically let's take the thing outside the commander. So for each one of these, let's say, okay, let's scale this up by whatever they have available. Because, yeah, they're peacekeepers. So they're going to be sweeping through the city. They're trying to clean up. They're trying to make sure everybody's still alive. So I don't know why there would only be like 2 of them ever. Survivors are going to travel in packs. So we're going to have packs of survivors. The big thing is I need to figure out how it's randomly selecting the visuals of these guys. But let's also make 1 or 2 a woman. So I don't know who decided to get rid of the women in here, but let's bring that back. So survivors will always travel in packs. Let's go ahead and just even that out. Scavengers, bowmen. Scavengers will have a lot more coming through the city, and the reason they're going to stay alive is because they got lots of bowmen. Because that makes sense. You're going to clear the city out, go street by street, and use that ranged, especially now that we don't have weapons like guns. Let's go through and say, you know, and then as far as the ratio goes, there's more men than women. But they have troops. Oh, I like that. Guns for hire kind of thing. This is about to get, these streets are about to be busy. Let's go in here and make sure this is all getting updated. Storytellers. Let's see here, and then also, I think for the most part, we can start to end the compare. Basically, scenario boxes says if it is this tag spawn this one person. I guess one way to easily go do this would be to just go double up on everything, but we're not going to do that. Let's see, in scenario Caucasian, they have encounter dialogue dedicated presence. Oh, okay. Presets. So Peacekeeper empires, Peacekeeper commanders. Duke one-handed. Let's see, infected virals. And I have wondered, so they have these concepts of the hub people. I'm really curious if the hub people can actually go do stuff, if they can actually fight, or if they really are just, they just stand there. Pretty sure they just stand there. But it would be nice if we had this idea of like, they could actually go, you could actually take these visual people and actually get them into the game, and they actually go do stuff. So for the guards at the base, here's another example of where we have guards, but do we? Let's just double our guards for now until we find the right balances. For our storytellers, you've got like storytellers sitting out on the roof by themselves. They might want to have more than just, you know, one guy sitting by a campfire. So I think we're going to give them some like actual people to defend them. Execution, PK by Renegade. Let's go and double this up. Massacre infected. Ooh, crawler peacekeepers. I like that. Shouldn't have told me about that one. So I think you're telling me that we got another fighter. Okay. Got another bot fighter in here. So let's go up to our spawns. And let's add another one here. So let's add this idea of a Peacekeeper crawler. Now this is actually a pool, so that's not going to actually work. Because it's going to spawn each one of those, but go to the present weighted and say day and night interiors, day and night interiors, day exterior. Let's add a preset weighted Peacekeeper who is in here at like 15. Let's add some more diversity to the map. This is night exterior. Definitely have some PKs that are left out at night. Definitely need those guys in here. These are interiors. Let's make sure not to do them in interiors. So that is like a fun idea that the PKs, you know, they were trying to fight their way into like an area. I don't want to break anything, so let's only do exteriors. Course at night. Hives. Hives is a fun idea. So day to night transition. Affected population. This is actually one that I've been meaning to update for a while. They're not going to be on the roof. Day exterior, night exterior. They're definitely going to be on the ground. And then also, where are all my champions here? Let's get rid of... Yeah, so we found out that some of these guys don't exist anymore, but they have that idea of the switch. So they have an alias that's being used, so we should be good there. But let's go in here and say, like, you know, where are all my people at? So where's my transition? So during the transition, we should have a lot of different NPCs out there, and I think this is actually one of the ones that's been super annoying, is that around that transition time you end up with like these like very boring guys kind of scattered around the map. So let's fix that. So we've got woman in there twice. Let's get rid of that. Got simple one hits. We got berserkers. We got this guy, and then we've got this idea of infected Peacekeepers, viral scavengers, and then also what I was adding in there a second ago, which is this idea that we've also got crawling Peacekeepers during the transition. Love it. Okay. Let's keep saving as we're going here. Okay, exterior. Idea of the XL, we've got Zerkers, we got gas tanks, all of those go away. We got XL, helmet, yep, toxic, yep, armored, check, explosive tank, nope, biters, burning, nope, scavengers, nope, nope, nope. Alright, that should be a much better diversified pool. Let's see, we also have armored helmets, gas tank, more infected peacekeepers and stuff in here. Interiors, we have biters resting. This is another one of those deals where like we've done it so many, or I've done it so many times at this point, it's really hard to know like what is actually working and what's not. Let's just go in here and basically say like, yes, you have biters resting, but then you also have more. So you've got all these guys that you're dealing with, and then you've also got the potential for during the day. You got banshees, you do not have bolters, you do not have goons, you do not have screamers, you do have spitters, not spitters, suicider, volatiles, and banshees, and a charger, not corruptors. Difficulty 2. Let's see, this is where I then came in and said yes, but then also I failed to do the interiors. Make sure we get the interiors here. And I've gotten a little sidetracked here by updating the virals as well. Just because they're not the virals but the infected, because these are, so I've noticed that some of my testing has worked as far as updating a couple of these things, but I'm noticing that when I did go through here and fix some of these things, that these are not all the same. And so because of that, I'm just going back through and saying like, okay, if we're going to do this the same, let's go and actually make all of these universal, for the idea that if in the future we determine like, okay, these don't actually work, technically I can pull them all out at the same time based on all of them being the exact same. So I want to make sure to maintain that that same system there. So there we go. And then we don't have the crawling Peacekeeper, that's actually fine. But now we at least should have, for the different interiors, we should at least have some different guys here. So let's start there and keep going back down to our encounter pools. So basically we have our weighted pool, but we want to go a little bit lower to where we're actually looking at the ones spawned. So we have our actual presets that are weighted, and then we have our actual ones that are spawned. And so essentially what I'm going to do is go through here and say, let's make sure that we're getting these spawned as well. And let's get volatiles added to that list. And then let's see here. So with our human, we basically said that these are their probabilities. What's weird here is that they have like this idea of like, here we're weighted, here we're just spawning. I'm not really sure I understand why in one they're doing weighted and why they're doing, I mean, weighted is good, but I guess the question is it always going to do only one, or is it going to do this and then some? So I guess here's the idea. So for testing purposes, we're going to go through here and say, okay, no problem, Peacekeeper Power 1, you can go through and say, yeah, we want to, on a conditional, we want to go and do this, but at the same time, let's also, so let's undo the compare here. Let's clone the view to other view. Let's search here and go back up to Peacekeeper, backward direction. Okay, here we go. And then, nope, this is back to the bottom. So, what do we say here? It was commander. And let's go forward. That's interesting. I know I just went through and fixed some of these. So let's go back through here and say, here we are. Okay. So it's the encounters. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to try to match up these systems. So basically, we're saying there's a weight here to determine whether it's a commander or a soldier and a two-handed. Let's go through and say, like, okay, sure, you decide on that, but also we're gonna add actual spawns to this as well. So you go through and you determine that for these other guys, but then, here you go as well, to stack this up a little bit more in their favor. For the power of 2, let's add more spearmen. And for the empire, let's go through here and basically make these guys a little bit more buffed up. Give them 2 hands. Good luck with that. And basically, I think the concept here is that as they're going through, I'm hoping that, yes, we will have, yes, there will be more spawns, but if you're ever having to fight some of these guys, you should be able to use, actually use the different guys to your advantage as far as the, and then actually here, I wonder if the scenario and then the general is what changes their visuals. I'm going to have to play around with that more. So the idea is that on some games, some zombie games, you're not just attacking directly, you're also bringing in other external conditions. So you're throwing Molotovs, you're grouping them together for an explosive barrel, you're bringing in zombies, that kind of thing, to help wipe them out. And so I think the idea here is let's get rid of some of this, they're outnumbered just because they're literally outnumbered, and make it more about the fact that they're not just outnumbered, or they're no longer outnumbered, they're actually working a strategy to try to stay alive, kind of thing, and give them that ability to possibly survive, and then you have to deal with them, kind of thing. So there's the weighted characters. With the bandits, I'm actually going to be mean with bandits. I'm going to try to see if we can get a lot of bandits into this game, to where bandits, there's a reason that bandits are alive and on the streets. It's because there's a lot of them, and because there's a lot of them, they're backing each other up, and they're clearing the streets themselves. So peacekeepers are clearing the streets the best they can, bandits are claiming the streets the best they can, and you get to figure out how that plays out. And we'll just go to each one of these, and we'll let the weighted thing do your thing, decide your weight, but then also always spawn these guys. Same thing with this. We're going to go in here and say the Bloods gang. It's fine, but let's spawn some of these guys as well. And I think really we only need one summoner. I don't think we actually need more than one summoner. But with the, especially with the gangs, if they have a gang, then they are organized. So they actually have people working together for a cause. They're not just randomly out there on the street by themselves. Hey, welcome back, Kiwi. For the power of 1 for the renegades, this is where we really start to get fun. Basically, I want to start making it to where the streets are being cleared by these guys, and you avoid them. unless you have the firepower to go take them on. I'm gonna try for that. We'll see how we get. But basically, they've got spearmen, they've got one-handeds, and so this should equal at least 2 of those.
Yo.
Hey, how's it going? Are you?
Yeah, it's fine. And I was listening to you, looking at what you're doing. I understand some stuff, but mostly it's kind of hard for me.
Sure.
I just wanted to say that I wrote a message before, but I just wanted to say that your work is appreciated, and then it's pretty cool what you've done already. And thank you, buddy.
Yeah, of course. Thanks.
Yeah, that's it. I'm just gonna continue.
No,
What
that's cool.
you're doing.
Hey, no, actually, while I got you, I remember you asked a question a while back. You were requesting something a little while back there, and is there anything that you've asked in the forums that we didn't get to yet? I can't remember if you're one of my Dying Light
Yeah,
guys, or if you're
yeah. There was, but honestly, like seeing all the stuff you're doing, like it doesn't really matter. It was not the first Dying Light, so it's fine.
Okay.
Don't worry.
Okay, cool. I still plan on getting back to the first Dying Light. I think one of the things that's most frustrating is like when it starts to like crash on you nonstop. You're like sitting there going like, I got like an hour before I gotta be somewhere, kind of thing. Like I don't have time to do this all day, kind of thing. So I'm gonna continue to try to tackle it. But I do appreciate it. Thanks for all the support, man. So let's see here. Yeah, I think one of the big shifts between Dying Light 1 and 2 is that when I was going through and I was writing the stuff for 1, it was pretty easy to make a call of saying like, okay, I want 2 riflemen, I want 2 melee guys, and those 4 guys by themselves could like clear a street because the riflemen would hit the guys long range, the bladed guys would come running up and wipe out the guys getting too close, kind of thing. And what was really neat was like when the infected would start hearing them and it would like slowly start closing in. If they stayed in the area too long, they would basically pile up bodies. But then eventually the riflemen would get like taken out, like zombies would come in behind them, kind of thing, and get the riflemen. And if they got the riflemen, then eventually
it's gonna
were just overwhelmed.
cool. Yeah, yeah. It was pretty cool. Like kind of movie style scene.
Yeah. And I've been getting like some of that from Dying Light 2, but it's like I feel like now that I've started modding it, I think the physics really makes a difference. But before the physics update, I think it was really shocking how like if they're all doing their like animation stagger thing, because they're recovering so fast from their animations, like it was kind of like evenly matched to where one zombie would cause one guy to kind of like he would stutter and then he would stutter and he would stutter and it just kind of went back and forth, kind of thing. It was really boring. But I do like now with like the physics updates where it's like it'll knock one zombie back and that gives other zombies time to advance. They'll knock him down, and so he'll have like a 2-hand and he'll hit like 3 of them at the same time, and like you kind of root for them a little bit more when you actually see them like making.
Yeah, it's way more realistic and enjoyable. Enjoyable, yeah.
Because otherwise, it's just kind of like you're like, why do I care? Like these guys will eventually die out, and like, so what? Let's see if with the scavengers. So the difference between the PK is that they have a lot of guys because they're the enforcers. Renegades have lots of guys because they're organized. Bandits have lots of guys because they're the outcasts. But scavengers, I think scavengers are kind of, maybe I'll make them more
Small group.
yeah, less likely to have the numbers, kind of thing. Maybe they lean more on the bowmen to clear the streets, kind of thing. So maybe they have additional bowmen and we'll see how that balances out. So we'll keep them pretty even throughout the different rates. So, are you waiting for Dying Light 2 to get better before purchasing?
No, actually, I just did. I did about 2 days ago. I was, yeah, I was like, I'm not sure if to buy it, but in the end, I bought it.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Cool, cool.
and yeah, I was kind of wrong. Like the game is great. The game is great. Like the graphics,
Yeah.
everything. The ambience is really really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think they did such a. I was looking earlier. One of the modders or one of the guys on here mentioned that there's a that the developer menu they made it to where you can turn on third person, and I was just like blown away that third person makes the game feel just completely different. I kind of like it. If it had a reactive camera to where it would actually, if it like, so it wouldn't clip through a wall kind of thing, you get too close to a
Yeah.
wall, it would zoom in. If
Uh,
it had that capability, I think I would play this one in third person more than I would play first
More
person.
than the first person. Yeah.
Because I feel like with third person, I'm more forgiving. Like if there's little glitches or little things right there, like I'm sitting there like,
I understand. Yeah, yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
but first person, you're like, I want to be able to do everything how I want to do it, and if I can't do everything how I want to do it, then like, it feels weird. But like most third person like action games, like combat games where you swing like a sword or something like that, if it doesn't always hit, or you see like arms fly off a group of guys, that's really rewarding. Versus like up close, you're just kind of everything is just plowing into you kind of thing. So I don't know. It's definitely a good engine. They are doing way better than they did with Dying Light 1, is my firm belief. I couldn't really, in the end, I have trouble with Dying Light 1 just because of how like choppy it is. It's really easy to crash the system. So one of the things with the survivors is that the survivors are similar to the PK. They have no armor, nothing. But what if there was this idea that there's the PK, so they have their little armored groups running around, they have their little defenses, but what if they worked in unison with the survivors to where they were also kind of like the survivors' bodyguards when they travel? Maybe there's like a fun way to make it like,
That's interesting. That's interesting, but it changes a little bit, the vanilla concept but it's interesting. Like, I'm not sure how you will make it work, but yeah.
Like, I want to know if like with the scavengers are another group, so I wouldn't use the scavengers, but like I think the only ones that are like the like militarized goody goodies are the PK, and the PK are not enemies with the survivors, so they won't fight each
Right.
other, but they have
Right.
separate bases. But if I increase the amount of PKs patrolling the streets, then there's this idea that the survivors are kind of the laborers. Consider if you go to the bazaar, they're doing nothing but drinking and hanging out. They're kind of
True.
lazy as shit for the end of the world. I'm glad they discovered that they could electrify a goat, but outside of that, they're doing nothing. So maybe there's this
Yeah.
idea that they're like
Poor goat.
laborers or they're like the gardeners, and then the PK are defending them or bodyguarding the survivors a little
Yeah, it
bit.
would be really cool. Like, see, maybe you are up on the roof and then you see down, like a group of survivors getting attacked, and then the PK, come in and try to like save them or something. It would be really cool to see,
Yeah,
the scene.
I'm gonna try this on my own test. So I'm gonna do like, so for the survivor groups, we won't give them a commander. We'll give them a two-handed guard and maybe a spearman. No, spearmen will keep in formation. Let's give them a soldier and a two-hand. So for each one of the random groups of survivors that are walking around, let's give them some peacekeepers, because they are called the peacekeepers. So let's give them some peacekeepers to help safeguard them. And for this larger group, let's...
Like a little joke, like I have noticed that in history, everything that is called peacekeeper,
Yeah.
it has nothing to do with peacekeeping.
No. Let's see. You said over here on Twitch, you're saying, but they are PK and the survivors aren't very familiar. So, like, yes, currently with the storyline, there's like a base across the road that's like peacekeepers, and then there's like survivors. But I'm like, I've been listening to the storyline. They're the last city on Earth, and the survivors have no armor. They're not running. They're idiots. So I need some way. If I'm going to up all the levels on all these guys, the survivors need some upper hand. So I don't know any other way other than maybe I could arm survivors with better weapons. Yeah, I'm gonna just try it. I'm gonna try it, and just in my game, I'm gonna just keep an eye on this, and I'll line it out if I don't like it. But what I'll do is I'll just take a note here that it's the survivors pool, and if we hate it, and then also like if I get in there and find out that they actually kill each other, that would actually be pretty funny. Also, there's this conscript man and a conscript woman. Who are they, and why have I never really seen them? Either of you guys know who the conscript man or conscript woman is?
I'm trying to think about it, but yeah, I have no clue.
They show up as... They're in there with like the PK group, so they're part of the PK. And they show up with most of the like other lying at wall conscript. I wonder if they got phased out. Conscript man hostile. Maybe it's part of the maybe it's a storyline character that I haven't played very far into the story, so maybe it's just a storyline character that he eventually comes and attacks, kind of thing. So let's leave him alone. Horde house pool, night horde house. I don't know what that is, so I'm gonna leave that alone. And then here are the bandits. So let's fix the bandits here. Okay, so we've got like a tier system here. So let's say, let's give these guys preset. Let's get rid of the probability. So it's always going to be at least 2 bandits, and the idea of 1 bandit that's not an idiot. So 1 bandit who can actually hold his own, and then 2 lower tier guys for the higher tiers. Let's give them an idiot. So let's give them 1 more person, but then let's also give them... And actually I was saying earlier that bandits technically should have more. Each one should have like a bowman. So they're labeled as special, huh? So let's go in here and say each person or each group at least has 1 bowman, and they also have, so they're two-handed and a spear. Let's also give them a two-handed so that they have some actual oomph. No, because that makes them kind of heavy always. So they always have at least one bowman. The group of two has two bowmen. And this special melee group, they also have some guys. And then special ranged. The ranged guys will always have two guys to defend the ranged. So let's see what that gets us. And then these are all tests, but for the guards, let's see, the guards also have, even if it is just a test, let's make sure that we're giving them something here. The generator guard also has, so people just have bowmen around, which will maybe fix the gun issue. And then this is my favorite thing. So at night, they're saying that they have less. Yes, maybe. I feel like if it were the end of the world, I don't think I would like, and all the special like creepy infected came out at night and all that good stuff. I don't know if I'd just go to sleep and leave my base with like less guys watching. Let's give them some, and again, I don't even know if these work, but let's see if we can get them. So these are temporary locations. So what are the actual locations? If they only have temps. Has anybody, have either of you guys played up to a point that there's an arena?
Not me. Just the early game.
Yeah. There's definitely, they mention arena like a lot. Like a lot. And I don't know why. Because I definitely haven't heard anybody mention an arena in this so far. So in the camps, this is no longer a test camp. Let's go ahead and give them some more guys because it's a camp. Alright guys, I gotta start wrapping it up here. Let me see if I can get in a quick round of testing really quick and just start to see what we got here. So the idea is that normally the system goes through and it says like, spawn a couple of melee guys. Like, we'll make it easy, let's just do a couple of melee guys. The idea here is that I'm going in and regardless of if they're melee or ranged, I'm basically saying like, also spawn a bowman as well, just in case. Basically a lot of the code goes through and says like, use these tags for these specific areas, just in the event for now that it goes through and says like, alright, only spawn, melee characters, then we also potentially get at least a bowman in with that group as well, just because I think with the bowman they're going to end up making a large difference in a lot of these fights, just because we have so many groups that they're basically composed of like 2 melee guys and that's it. And the problem with that is that with the current AI, especially in Ultimate Survivor, it's just like a matter of time before they get overwhelmed. So let's see if the bowman can start turning the tide a little bit. And one of the benefits here is that, before I've had people talk to me before about like, go in and add the ability to drop weapons, so if one of them dies, they drop the weapons that they were holding. The problem with that is that if they actually dropped the exact weapons that they were holding, it would only be a matter of time before you could just loot the dead and become overpowered. I mean, probably pretty quickly, you would end up with most of the things that they have and more. So you could just sell off everything that they've got and more. And so this approach should allow us to get some interesting replayability, some interesting new interactions without also then just filling the player's inventory with awesome weapons in the first couple of minutes. And I know that was like one of the things that people mentioned a lot in the original I Am Legion, was that once you start to get guns, that's it. So, if you get rifles, you get ammo, then you're pretty much set. You don't need to worry about the world too much after that point. And so I think this will in fact help with some of that, to cut down on that overstocking issue. Here to here, here to here. Good lord. There's a lot of these. Alright, so might have to come back to this tomorrow because, yeah, there's just a shit ton of these pools. And that is not the... We're not even down to the actual different groups yet. Yeah, because that's when it starts to get down to like difficulty groups and that kind of thing. So that's something I'll look at more tomorrow. Let's see if we go ahead and launch the game. Let's make sure I haven't broken something in my very happy modding here. I've been really hopeful. If you see here on my GitHub, there's quite a lot of changes here that I'm trying to bring in. So let's go ahead and stage these. Updates to human AI and spawn pools. Okay, so let's go ahead and stage these, push these out, and let's run. Let's see what we get here. Source. Basically, we'll just go in here and kill all of this. Also don't want that config. And then, yeah, we'll leave the spawns and everything the same. So I'm still going to try to get the configuration update done as well this weekend. We'll see how that goes, but I think this human AI update will go a long way. Maybe they're not friends with these survivors if they're locking them up. Maybe I got that very wrong. So first we want to make sure that everything's working as expected. So we see down there we've got our howlers, so we at least know that none of the spawn code is broken necessarily. Look how pretty that is. We now have, oh, lots of PK. Alright, well, we're gonna have to fix that. We've got, I mean, that's fine near the bases, but Jesus. Oh. We got spitters up on the roofs, that's working correctly. Is that a volatile? Oh, guys, it worked. We now have volatiles in the world. Ah, that took so long to get working properly, but there he is. He's up on the roof and waiting. And then also, oh, he spits, he attacks. Jeez. Yep, okay, so a chase is not started, but we have a volatile chasing us. That is awesome. Oh, that was a bad idea. Oh, that's super exciting. Okay. So we've got them in there. We definitely need to balance the armoreds on the ground. So the armoreds on the ground are definitely not balanced. Oh, check it out, guys. There's a volatile crawling around the map. Awesome. Okay. Yeah. Alright. So our spawn stops working so far. So even if we did select casual survivor, we're now going to get volatiles down inside the map, which is definitely what I was originally hoping for. Looks like their chase distances are pretty short. Let's see, military convoy. Got the same generics out here. Let's head to the roofs. Start looking around the rooftops again. And also, I feel like they're... I mean, I'm probably wrong here. I've been trying to get these guys patrolling and actually moving around the map. I don't think they're actually patrolling, but they're always moving a good bit, but I think that's pretty much standard. Let's see what we got over here. So we got the Berserker running around up there. We got our glitch. Any volatiles. We got our canister boys down there. And I will also be looking at turning off that chiming every time an event happens, because that just happens way too often. Oh no. So I think the original vision of you have to stick to the rooftops or you die, I think that's coming true pretty quickly now. So here's a campfire that's been killed. We got volatiles up here eating, and they're not. There's no screamer. It's good. And then also, so I saw the values for his cough. And I don't know if that's actually set up properly to where if I turn that up and he actually coughs from his infection, if that will make the whole map come down on him. But I would be really interested to see. Basically, it's like the longer he stays out there, the more likely he is to start coughing. If he starts coughing, it brings the whole map down. It's pretty fun. So, oh, hello. Uh-oh. Well, I think it's safe to say I'm very happy with the amount of zombies in here and the diversity. I do not see the armors as a problem in this area. They look like they're doing just fine as far as the diversity goes. Oh, that was okay. That was good. The run-through areas still look like they're a little sparse, but basically, I mean, that is just an awesome balance of like just you will die. It's just a matter of how quickly you'll die. But I don't see crazy amounts of any one type of zombie. Looks very, very diverse out there. So let's really quickly switch over to daytime. I'm so happy though. So we're over at daytime. We're over here at the bazaar. Sounds like that glitch is still in here, where he is now huffing and puffing. Personally, I like this a little bit better to where there's less zombies. You can see here that it looks like it's spawned a group of survivors. Those are survivors out here in the center. Yeah. So it's a bunch of survivors, and they did it. They cleared the area. Because it's 5 of them. And obviously 5 is a lot of numbers for zombies. Which is perfect. So we get some females, everybody's showing up different. There's not the same guy 500 times. That looks beautiful. Let's see here. See our pass through. That's still the same. We have survivors on the outskirts here as before. Looks like they're still kind of doing their own thing here. Those zombies? I can't tell what those are. No. He's not a zombie? Oh, okay. So there's zombies up here. And, well, that's not good. Okay, so basically it looks like we need to update. Oh, there we go. Oh, he's got a plank. Awesome. Okay, he's useless. So they'll probably die, as they should, because they've got planks for whatever reason. Okay, so let's head over where the PK usually starts spawning in. Let's see what we get here. So we got guys cutting trees on rooftops by themselves. That's fine. Got a little base here. No guys down on the ground. Telling you, by the time I'm done with this, I'm really excited to see if interiors are actually scary. They kind of already creep me out as far as like me wanting to go in, but I think they could get even better. So here again, we've got some survivors down here. Looks like this time we got 2 of them. But we got more over here. So they're actually clearing the areas. We got arms flying. Got guys up on the roofs. See, this guy is going to get overwhelmed. Oop, and so am I, because I'm standing still. Oh, they're bandits. And as you can see from my testing, all my weapons are now broken. So I don't have weapons anymore. Let's see, so... I don't see any PK, but based on what I'm seeing with the bandits and the survivors, I have a pretty good feeling that if I did spot a PK group, that we would also have some increased spawns. I'm going to have to call it for the night, but let me go on this main roadway real quick. Just head down the main road here. But I'm just so much happier with how this is going. This is my kind of game now. So we got... There we go. We got new special guys inside the buildings. Let's see if we can find anything else interesting. Before they were only biters. Now we got some armors in here. Let's keep going up. farmers. We got different size people. Okay. And yeah, still no PK for now, but I'm gonna continue development in the morning, and we'll just keep testing. But hopefully, we can figure out a good way to continue to increase these spawns on all these different bandits and the different groups, and we should have a good update for 0.7 here coming up soon. And I really appreciate your guys' feedback. I really appreciate you guys coming and supporting the mod. And as always, it's been awesome catching up and talking with all you guys. Hope you guys have a great night, and I'll talk to everybody tomorrow.
You too, man. Have a great night. Bye.
Later.